Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to From Heroes to Icons. I'm Jason. Today, I'll be talking to you about something quite different than comic books or hauls, movies, television shows, anything like that. I'll be talking to you about Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time. And as I named this video, why The Wheel of Time? For somebody like myself, I've been following this series here since the fall of 1990. And I was one that never read any type of novels. If it didn't have to do with school, I didn't read books, read comic books. If it didn't have pictures in it, I really wasn't caring for it too much. Before we get deep into this might be a long one. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up. And if you dig Robert Jordan, comic books, fantasy, or any other type of that stuff, share it with somebody. They might like it too. But always love comic books. I guess I consider myself a novice reader because I didn't read books that didn't have pictures in it. But my wife, then my girlfriend, we was on a date. In between eating and going to the movies, we were in the mall, and she decided to take me to the bookstore. I don't know why she decided to do that, but I couldn't find nothing. I had bought all the comic books. They were still selling comic books in bookstores then. The floppies. I had bought everything. She said there has to be something in here that you like. So went to the sci-fi fantasy section, and looking around, didn't really see anything that caught my eye. But I did find the Dragonlance Chronicles, the deluxe paperback collector's edition. And I bought that primarily just because there were pictures in front of every cover. And I finally pounded my way through that. And I was so ecstatic and so intrigued by what I read that the next day I went to work. And when I was on break, I spent my whole break in the bookstore. And they didn't have book one of The Wheel of Time, but they did have this in a small paperback. So I didn't really know nothing about books or anything like that. So I bought this in a small trade paperback form. The Dragon Bone Chair, and I think The Dragon Prince by Melanie Rawn. And I read the other two, and I was just like, I went to the guy at the cash register, and I was like, do you have book one? He was like, no, but we can order it for you. So I ordered book one, and I believe that came in an oversized, super oversized paper. It looked like a hardcover, but it was a paperback. So while I was waiting for it to come, I started book two of The Wheel of Time, The Great Hunt. Jumped right into it, had no clue what I was reading. It was just a dope story. I think I got halfway through it, and then my book one came in. I bought that, stopped reading book two, read this, finished it. I was astounded. I read book two, and by the time I read book two, I think it was maybe 2 weeks or so, and then book three was coming out, and that was The Dragon Reborn. And just, I'm a novice fantasy reader. I had no idea what I was getting into. I thought book three was going to be it. It was named The Dragon Reborn. I just knew that Jack was going to be that. And by the end of book three, he had only got his mystical sword, and that was that. And I was like, what's going on here? And he was like, oh yeah, there's another book coming out. I wasn't heavy into the internet then. And, we was using like dial-up back then and all that stuff. And I was intrigued by the way Robert Jordan wrote. And when book four came out, Shadow Rising, I remember spending the whole summer reading that in my mother's living room, just eating oodles and noodles and toast and reading The Shadow Rising, which for me, the entire 14 book series, book four is my favorite. I guess because I'm a fan of Matt Cawthon. And this book here, there's a lot of cats out here doing whatever they do with the Wheel of Time. They've been doing it. They've been dropping science, telling everybody about the magic and the majesty of Robert Jordan's books. They've been part of Tavarin Teas, which I think their website is now kind of defunct. But they've been giving reviews. They've been just letting everybody know what time it is. And now that Amazon has declared Robert Jordan to be one of the best, the series is starting in a month or so. And it'll be on Amazon Prime. And everybody is just ready for the next great fantasy after Game of Thrones on television. And I'm more interested in the books per se than the TV shows. We know that there's not going to be a one-for-one translation of the books. Can't never really be that. But I have my own misgivings about that. We won't talk about that today. But this series here is near and dear to my heart. Been reading it for over 25 years now, just actually waiting for the books. Not one that just started reading it, got into it or whatever, but for over 20 years. I've been following this guy since high school. And I just wanted to share with you guys, just like, why the Wheel of Time? Why the Eye of the World? Why the Great Hunt, the Dragon Reborn, and all of this other type of stuff? This book, obviously, most of you know that are probably watching this have already delved into the world of Robert Jordan. 14 books. He did 11 of them. I was fortunate enough to have met Robert Jordan at like the Huntington Village. It was like the Regent Book Club or something like that. And it was a dark and stormy night. Yeah, it was. And I was shook that my books were going to get destroyed by the rain. But I was able to meet the man, get a few books signed. I got this book here signed by him, which is the first edition. I didn't know, but it is. It's the first edition. And The Knife of Dreams, which was the last book that he was able to write. He also signed that book that night, gave a Q&A, talked to us about what he wanted to do after the Wheel of Time. And he said he wanted to make one last book for the Wheel of Time. And we know that with the help of Brandon Sanderson, that one book became a trilogy unto itself for the last 3 books. And Robert Jordan passed away, unfortunately, before he could finish. And he did tell us that he wanted to create a series called, I believe, Infinite Heaven or whatever. We'll never get to see that. But I believe Robert Jordan is probably in Infinite Heaven right now. This series is ridiculous. The magic system in it, mostly it starts with the women, as most people know, but it is not excluded to women. Although women are very prominent and very powerful and very influential in this book. Let it be known, it is 3 main characters, which are men, which drive the force of the book, and they are backed by powerful women, of course. And I have to thank my wife, Selena, for showing me the magic of books without pictures in it. And truly, I believe that regardless of how the television show does, everybody has their own opinion. The many reviewers out there, there was one guy, I forget his name at the moment, hopefully I'll throw it in. I was watching him do a review on it. I believe he started the series during the pandemic or right before the pandemic. And he had some really cool reviews. He does like 1 million different types of book reviews. But I followed his reviews of The Wheel of Time and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, why haven't I never done anything like that or whatever? But I'm planning to get with another YouTuber and we'll do a review / discussion on the books. As I said before, don't know what we're going to do about the television show. Don't know how I particularly feel about the television show. I was skeptical. I seen the trailer. I got a little hype. But it seems like the more news that they bring out about it, the more skeptical I become again. But definitely one of my favorite writers ever. Everybody says there's a certain slog or an extremely lull during a few books. And during my third reread, something like that, I begin to see. Because when you're young, you have a different point of view. And now I'm older than I was when I first started the book. Finished. I didn't finish my final reread, but I had begun to reread them again. I'm on, once again, Memory of Light, which is the last book, but I'm reading that digitally because running around, you don't feel like grabbing a 2,000 page book around with you or whatever, but you see things a little bit differently now. Been married for 25 years, and now you see things kind of from a different perspective, and you can kind of respect how Robert Jordan had certain characters act a certain way. And it's just a really awesome read. Of course, he has like some regular tropes that people talk about. Oh, why did he do that or whatever? Obviously, there's, the main character has a Christ type figure trope to him, as many do. But it's a very deep, I'll say it's a family oriented book. A lot of relationships between fathers and sons and husbands and wives and brothers and sisters and stuff like that. It's really kind of cool. And even some of the main characters, this main character here, Moraine, has a very maternal role in the book where you kind of, she's like that auntie mama type of thing. And then she turns into, as the men and the rest of the characters grow, she turns into like an almost a grandmotherly type to, it becomes pretty dope. But I say if anybody's going to read this is a deep dive. Like if you haven't read this book before, it's a dedication that you have to. And me personally, I say read it. What do you got to lose? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different writers, newer writers that have a more faster pace to them, and it's more heavy hitting and more influenced by modern culture. And as they said about Robert Jordan, he has a very Tolkien-esque way about him. But me personally speaking, I believe what J.R.R. Tolkien started, Robert Jordan finished. And to me, that says a lot. The world building, characterization, and all of that is just totally on par. And shout out to Bullseye Bob. He has agreed to do something with me pertaining to the Wheel of Time. We don't know what we're gonna do. I can go all day about this, breaking it down. Obviously, the videos are gonna at least be 30 minutes long. Those who are dedicated or even curious about this world see a different person's perspective, how they feel about the whole situation, things that go on in the book. I'm quite pleased with pretty much everything in the book. There's one character that I hate. She's a good guy, but I hate her character totally. Definitely, me and Bob will be discussing that character in depth when the time comes. But shout out again to my wife for just putting me on and letting me know there's greatness in these pages with just words, and then I have a very vivid imagination. And thank everyone for watching, taking the time to watch this video so I can share my feelings, deep feelings and passion about James Rigney Jr., Robert Jordan, and this gigantic world of the Wheel of Time. 14 books. Don't sleep on it. It's dope. Yes, very politically heavy later on in the books. A lot of goings on with that. But definitely a gigantic world to jump into. Beautiful magic system. Beautiful history. the history that is shown just with the characters talking in the different areas that you go. Nice little evil bad guys too. Definitely for any fantasy lover, a definite must read. You must read at least the first four books, and you will be hooked. Fires of Heaven, book five, kind of brings you down a little bit, slows the pace down, and starts evening things out. But the first four books must read. I guess I should leave some links to Amazon or whatever down in the description or whatever. But thank you for your time. And as I tell all of my comic book folk, for the fantasy people to be great and do great. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.